Welcome to So Ama Media. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. Thank you and much love.
Before we begin, take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. This series looks at the texts that were excluded from the Bible, not to shock or replace belief, but to understand how ideas about power, fear, and salvation evolved over time. Today's text is the Apocalypse of Paul, one of the most influential afterlife visions ever written, even though most people have never heard of it. This text claims to describe a journey undertaken by the Apostle Paul, guided through the heavens and the realms beyond death. At first glance, it looks familiar. There are heavens, there are punishments, there are rewards. But when you read it carefully, something else emerges. The Apocalypse of Paul does not simply describe the afterlife. It organizes it. Souls are categorized. Sins are ranked. Punishments are matched precisely to behavior. Everything is measured, evaluated, and accounted for. This is not the poetic mystery of earlier apocalyptic texts. This is administration. In this vision, angels function less like messengers and more like inspectors. Souls are examined immediately after death. Their actions are weighed. Their intentions are judged. What matters most is not inner transformation, but compliance. Certain punishments described in the text are extreme and graphic, especially for behaviors that threaten social order, sexual autonomy, disobedience, rejection of authority, and spiritual independence. This detail is important. The Apocalypse of Paul appears at a time when Christianity is becoming institutionalized. The religion is no longer a persecuted movement. It is becoming structured, moralized, and regulated. This text reflects that shift. Earlier apocalyptic writings, like the Apocalypse of Peter, still allowed mercy to interrupt judgment. In contrast, the Apocalypse of Paul emphasizes inevitability. Once judgment is passed, there is little room for compassion. The afterlife becomes a warning system. From a psychological perspective, this text marks a turning point. Fear becomes instructional. Imagery becomes disciplinary. The unseen world becomes a mirror of social control. This is why the Apocalypse of Paul was both popular and dangerous. Popular, because it frightened people into obedience. Dangerous, because it reduced spirituality to surveillance. Historically, this text influenced medieval visions of hell far more than the canonical Bible ever did. Its imagery echoes through later sermons, art, and doctrine. And yet, despite its influence, it was never officially canonized. Why? Because even the early church recognized the problem. A spirituality built entirely on fear eventually collapses into cruelty. A religion obsessed with punishment loses sight of transformation. And a God who only judges becomes indistinguishable from tyranny. So the Apocalypse of Paul was kept at the edges, used, but not honored. Cited, but not crowned as scripture. What makes this text important today is not whether one accepts its vision of the afterlife literally. It is what the text reveals about how fear entered theology. It shows us the moment when the question shifted from, how do we awaken, to, what happens if you disobey? The Apocalypse of Paul asks us to confront an uncomfortable truth. At some point, salvation stopped being about inner change and became about behavioral control. And once fear becomes sacred, it is very hard to remove.